Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there and welcome to New Life Live. I am so glad you joined us today. This is kind of a special day because we're in the new studio. We downsized our office, moved the studio. You could see what it looks like at New Life Live, the YouTube channel there. But joining me, Dr. Jill Hubbard and Mylan Yurkovich. Hi, guys.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Well, I'm going to be better when your mic is turned up, Mylan.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Mylan, we can't hear you.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
thank you.
Anyway, let me stop the dinging. Let me ask both of you a question. Jill has just had a birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And Mylan, you have one every year too. What?
His was just a month before mine.
That's right.
What kind of wisdom do you guys have for folks that maybe you would pass on what you wish you knew when you were younger, but you didn't know it then, but you know it now?
Well,
Can you think of anything that might
Mylan,
be
since you're older than me, you may have more wisdom than I do.
Oh, Jill, I can't believe you went there.
So I'm all ears.
I can't believe you went there. That is so...
Well, I'm
That's all right.
trying to get used to
That's all right.
my new decade.
I don't mind being the senior saint here. That's okay. Thanks for highlighting that. You know what I would tell myself is to, because Kay and I have reaped the benefits of hard work for self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and relational intelligence goes along with that, and that we worked really hard to be honest with each other and develop the things God calls us to in all the one another's of Scripture. I would have told myself earlier in my life, get busy on that sooner. Because I didn't start learning to do that until I was almost 40. My late 30s. Mm-hmm. And, I look at people who have those things developed and they're in their 30s or 20s. And I go, hey, yeah, way ahead of me, so keep going. Because, again, the benefits of peace, closeness, security, a lack of fear and anxiety in relationship, all those great things are things that everybody wants. And that's how you get there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and boy, there are a lot of things that would help everybody if we knew them younger. Mm-hmm. But if we knew them, doesn't mean we would do them. I mean,
right.
Sometimes
that's true.
You just have to not do stuff and learn from it painfully, and then finally.
But to that point, Steve, it was pain that got us there.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say the number one thing was that this was God's will for our lives, all of our lives, emotional and relational intelligence, that we would grow more and more in real knowledge and all discernment about our love for one another.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say this, if you're in a relationship and there is not kindness in that relationship, there's not love. It can be called a lot of things, but it's not love. And when we can be kind and in pain at the same time, well, that's a big indicator of maturity.
And then we're going to have to not let Birthday Jill off the hook here.
We will hear it when we get back. We'll hear it when we get back.
Okay.
Coming right up, 1-800-229. 1-800-229-3000. 1-800-229-3000. I would have told myself, be sure to get those little clip things on the Cheerios because they get really stale.
Yeah,
that's what I wish I had told myself.
Chip bags, yes.
We'll take this break and come right back. Glad you're with us today. If you need some help, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but the radio program, 1-800-229-3000. Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop March the 27th. I don't know of anybody that wouldn't benefit from emotional freedom. We're all bound or stuck or struggling in some area. What are we going to do there, Chris?
Just really help people get clarity around the places where they're stuck in their life. They sort of circle the same mountain of disappointment over and over and over again. You're going to be able to see that mountain clearly and get to a new place of what we call emotional freedom, which is simply I can feel in the world, build a relationship to it, and know what to do with my experiences.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Workshop will be held online Saturday, March 27th. Steve Arterburn and Chris Williams will present information on trauma, depression, codependency, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or register online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn here, and to join us on the program, 1-800-229-3000. Dr. Jill Hubbard is with us here right now. Jill, what would you have told your younger self?
Well, it's really hard to top Mylan, so I'm not going to try.
Right.
But I think that what I would tell myself is that it's going to be okay. That all the fret and worry, first of all, God doesn't waste anything,
Yep.
nor are any of us promised an ideal life. But he promises that he'll be with us, right? And so all the fretting and worrying, and I think as a young female, like early 20s, that's where it's hard for women to have a voice. We actually get more of a voice in the second half of life, and maybe you men notice that. But so to that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. That I'm okay, and life is going to be okay, and to not be afraid to speak up.
EGBOC. That stands for everything's going to be okay.
Oh, okay.
EGBOC.
Okay, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Everything's going to be okay, but it's not going to be easy.
No, but
No.
it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
But you're going to be equipped. God will meet you there at each step if you
And-
allow him.
And for me, it's going to be okay. And when you really mess up, it's still going to be okay if you take a different path when you mess up. Well, here's the right path, and that is to go and talk with a person. Jen, Philadelphia, WBYN is the station. Let's talk with her. Jen, you are on with Mylan Yurkovich and Dr. Jill Hubbard. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Doing all right. Anything we could do for you today?
Yes. I'm trying to figure out how to start. My husband and I have two children who are ages like 5.5 and 3.5, and we have some serious concerns about the older one with her behaviors. She has some very extreme behaviors. And I feel a little funny calling about this now because we just actually had a really, really good weekend with her. But what often happens is we'll have like a few days that are really good,
Yeah.
but then like weeks that are just awful.
Right. What are the
And so,
extreme
I
behaviors?
didn't-
Give us an example of the extreme.
Okay, so she has a lot of very intense screaming fits, like throughout the day. It feels like we're kind of just living in a landmine, like in a field of landmines with
Yeah.
her. It's just you
Okay.
never know what's going to set her off. She's been like that since she was a baby. She's been like just very intense. And one particular kind of thing that is just a recurring issue is like if she were to ask me a question, like a hypothetical question about what someone might say if, and I can't answer it, she will start screaming that someone has to tell her. Or she wants a reminder about, what a character said in a story,
Yeah.
word for word, and I don't remember exactly. She can't handle it. I can't say, I don't know. I can't say, well, do you remember?
Okay. Now,
these things are just all day long.
yeah.
all-
Okay. One more question for you. Have you? What have you done so far about this? And then we'll start with Jill about what could be done. But what kind of help or insight have you gotten on this?
Well, when she was a baby, we just tried pretty much anything anyone could recommend to us, like taking her to chiropractors. We took her to a neurologist. And we couldn't. No one could figure out why she was screaming. Everyone said she seems healthy, and so through like her toddler years, like she would have tantrums that would last an hour,
Oh boy.
and we would.
So did you
would
talk to
try
anybody
not
about
to-
that? Did you talk to anybody about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was, it just didn't seem like anything we tried worked. Trying just kind of to put her in her own space. Say, if you need to scream like this, you're going to scream in your room because the rest of us aren't going to listen to it. And it seemed like nothing's worked. And
all right. And so a specific question for us is, what would that be?
Is we're trying to move forward with getting her evaluated for some kind of a behavioral or emotional problem. We're at our wits' end basically, and so we're wondering, how do we even go about doing that? We want to find something that's faith-based or at least informed by the same faith as us. I'm trying to find out even where to begin.
Okay.
Well, Jen, I think it would be worth a call to the Amen clinics. That might be, if they can't help you, they could probably point you in a direction for that. But it sounds like her brain, right? There's an intensity in her brain, and this rigidity and intolerance has now developed into a demandingness, right? And understandable that, especially the younger they are, like you do anything to appease them. But as that continues, it's like her kind of hot brain that probably, I bet, under a scan would light up quite a bit. That will then kind of rule the roost moving forward. So some of it, I would say, she probably can't help, but the rest of it, in order to cope, and she's in pain, right? So she's crying out, whether it be, emotional pain or just that intensity. So she becomes very demanding. So I would go that route to be evaluated. Also, there's a technique called holding time that I think can be helpful, but it'll probably take your husband, and it requires holding someone through a screaming fit until they relent. And in the process, you're talking very soothingly to them, and that you're there, you're going to help them, right? But she can't tolerate much. And so you have to show her that you are there to help contain her, and that somebody's in control when she feels so out of control.
I think that's a
That
great.
would definitely have to be my husband.
Yes,
Well,
absolutely, because she will kick
I'm
and
actually,
bite.
I'm seeing a counselor right now myself for PTSD from just like all the screaming those early years. It's just like I couldn't handle it anymore. So I wouldn't be able to last through a tantrum doing that.
Right.
Well,
Mylan, what are you thinking
you
here?
have to also ask yourself, Jen, if this screaming is triggering you into some level of your own pain. And that's really important here because two things are going to happen. One, as a parent, we're trying, and Jill used a beautiful word, it's the word contain. You're trying to contain the child emotionally, physically, emotionally. But when you're triggered, it's really hard to be a parent right there. And so I would really want to, and I would look not just from a PTSD viewpoint as though you are suffering from just her screaming, but to ask what happened prior to that. As your own little girl, as you were a little girl or a young woman, what traumatized you and what is this stirring up? Now, that's an important step for you to look at. Yes, Jill.
Well, sorry, I just wanted to interject. Also, that idea that when you thought about being a mom, and here it's your first child, the constant screaming is it can feel like your inability to soothe your child. And thus, what kind of mother are you?
Yeah.
And that is very hard to endure.
Right.
Well,
so
go ahead, Mom.
let me just say two more things, Steve. The Holding Time is a book that was written by Martha Welsh. And it talks about, instead of putting your kid in a timeout by themselves, you're saying, we're going to have a timeout with us. And then for both you and your husband to hold her, so that you're both in this thing. And so, your husband's not the bad cop and you're the good cop. It's we're doing this together, and we're doing it because we love you, and we're going to stay with you in this. Okay, so that's thought number one. There's another category here called the highly sensitive person. And that book was written by Elaine Aron, Aron, and it's about highly sensitive people. And often people like this also have sensory motor issues where everything is hot to them. Everything is urgent or extreme. And so you'd really want to, and you live in Philadelphia, okay? So you live in the mecca of great medicine and behavioral medicine as well. And it's not so much to find somebody of your faith as it is to somebody to find an accurate diagnosis as to what's going on with your daughter. And so I'd explore highly sensitive person and sensory motor development, because that can help soothe her senses down. And there are great sensory motor development institutes all around the United States that really that cater to this kind of a highly sensitive child. Steve?
Yeah, thank you, Mylan. Jen, this is a Christian radio program. It's on a Christian station, and Christians listen to it. But I really want to emphasize what Mylan said. This is the time to find the specialist who has dealt with more highly sensitive, overreactive children than anyone else. This isn't going to impact your child's faith or yours. You need to find that specialist. That's what I would do. Number one, I would try to find who knows the most about this. What have they written? Are they still practicing? And is there any chance I could get my child in front of the number one expert? But if not number one, number two or three or four. And I really wouldn't, if I was going to have brain surgery, would I want the Christian doctor who's done it once, or would I want the atheist who's done it 10,000 times? I'd want the atheist 10,000 and have everybody that I know pray for the atheist that it's going to be a great surgeon.
That's a great point, Steve.
The second thing, I don't want this to sound superficial, but your child now at 5.5 probably isn't going to show restraint until you show restraint, until you're able to be present without reacting and restraining. The extreme, is ignore the child. And I think that's horrible. Some people say, well, just walk away. No, I like the holding. I like the comforting. But here's what I really like. You seeing a therapist that could help you find, as Mylan was saying, the source of this, why it affects you like this, and resolve that so that you are confident and competent in dealing with your daughter. And that doesn't solve everything, but it helps the child to feel more secure. Now look, this didn't start when your child was 4. This isn't a result of, we kind of messed up here. This was from the beginning. And so you really have to say you could call it a wiring problem, you could call it a chemical problem, something isn't the way it is with most other children. And that's not anybody's fault except for Adam and Eve, who we now live in a fallen world. These things happen. So I would be, I don't let yourself dwell on 1 second of shame here. Get the help that you need, partner with your husband, but really set the goal of being okay when things are at their worst. And I now wonder at 5.5 if we're already asking that question, if I don't fix this would be the 5.5, if I don't fix this, are they still going to love me? And so you're going to have to move toward rather than away. It's just a very complex problem, but you can do this, and you've got your husband working with you. And a lot of people do this, and they don't have a husband that's working with them.
Steve, hard to soothe child is very common. That phrase didn't pop out of a vacuum. So there are a lot of people who are very oriented on what do you do with a child who's very hard to soothe. And that could be infants, Jill.
Yep, it can. Absolutely.
Yep. All right, I'm going to send you Mylan Kay's book, How We Love Our Kids. I hope that's helpful to you. And I hope and pray that you feel confident in the person that you seek out to help, because what's it worth to have the answer? What's it worth? I mean, it's worth a lot. It's worth a lot of time spent looking for the person who really knows this area of life. And we really hope and pray. I'll ask folks to pray for you and to pray for your child and you and your husband working together on this. All right, you're listening to New Life Live. If you have a problem, you need some help, 1-800-NEW-LIFE is the number.
After I found the pornography on the internet, I said, you either get help or I have to leave this household.
Every day, thousands of women discover their husband is struggling with sexual integrity. And since shelter-in-place orders have gone into effect, traffic to porn sites has skyrocketed. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
I believed that I could do it on my own. I just believed if I tried hard enough and pulled myself up hard enough by my bootstraps, I could do it. It was a battle that I'd had all my life. I had to get help.
The Every Man's Battle Workshop can be a trip to the sexual addiction emergency room. During this time of social distancing, the Every Man's Battle Workshop will be held online Saturday, April 10th. Find sexual integrity, accountability, and connection. Register now to reserve a place at the Every Man's Battle online workshop. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
The single most helpful thing was to realize that I wasn't the weirdest guy on the planet.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEWLIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in the biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Steve Arterburn here. Really hope and pray that something we say today might be meaningful to you. Also, right there on our YouTube channel, you've got, I'm going deeper today, and we're talking about toxic faith. A lot of examples of beliefs that are poisonous to our faith, and it could be a cult, a sect, and sometimes even a church that is not quite what it needs to be. We're in our new studio. We've downsized, saving a little bit of money, but we've got a brand new studio. Looks brand new. It's wonderful. We love it. You could see that at New Life Live, the YouTube channel there. Now we're going to go back to the phones, and we're going to talk with Lance, and he does intersect with us right there on the YouTube channel. Hey, Lance, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How could we help today?
I'm glad Mylan's on the call here too, because I've actually been going through that How We Love book, and I've noticed, in the past that I seem to have issues with relationships where it's always me that breaks it off, and I'm never totally sure why. I just seem to end up kind of discontent. So recently, I have a good friend, and I was interested in her for a very long time. Didn't know she was interested in me. So we're good friends. I know a lot about her already. Well, when I found out she was interested, we decided to start dating. We connected amazingly well up until we started dating, and then I kept drawing back a little bit. So over the course of 2.5 months, recently, I just said, maybe we should just be friends. And I guess in times past when I've done that, I felt a lot of peace. And it was like, oh, that was the right choice. I don't feel like it was the right choice this time, or I don't know. And I found out, according to, the quiz on Mylan's website, that I'm a heavy vacillator as far as my love style,
Okay.
which makes a lot of sense. But my question, there's two questions that I'm really dealing with in relation to that. It's like, I don't know. One is I don't know how to determine whether that was my vacillating issues or whatever that really broke that relationship, and I need to try and fix that and go back. And two,
Okay.
I'm just having a generally hard time understanding my emotions, period. I was just curious if you guys had any ideas for me.
Okay, quick question, Lance. How old are you?
34.
Okay. Mylan, he's wanting your wisdom here, and you've got some.
Well, Lance, thank you for your question. It's a great one, and it is a very classic response when you have that love style to feel very much a lot of tension about relationship. If you're not in a close relationship with this woman and she's out there sort of at a distance, you can idealize her or think have these impressions of her that are really not the close-up experience. But when you get people in close, what happens is the idealism begins to wane, and we are faced with reality. And reality always has, it's always a mixed bag, because there's beautiful things about people, and then there's things that aren't quite so pretty. And so then we think, well, something's wrong, and then we pull away. And so it's called ambivalence. And in the literature, the vacillator is a term we used, that we were asked to use by our publisher, but the preoccupied ambivalent is highly anxious in relationships. And relationships are drawn toward them, but they make them very tense when all these converging forces occur on the inside. And then they feel better when they pull away because it's gone. The anxiety and the tension
right,
is
by
gone.
ourselves, we can handle things.
Boy, I'm glad that's over, kind of a thing.
Right.
But what I love about this 34-year-old guy named Lance that listens on YouTube, dude, you're saying, no, there's something not right about this. And I love that about you, Lance. That is awesome. I'm also going to say your goal isn't to stay a vacillator. Your goal is to move towards secure attachment. And over half the people in my counseling office are recovering vacillators. I love them. And they're fabulous, they're fabulous therapists. And they have great insights, and they can deal with emotions, theirs and others. So you're not stuck there. But I'm glad you're tired of being there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're describing exactly what I've been going through.
Yeah.
So what's his next step, Mylan? How does he go from awareness and desire?
Jill, what do you think?
Well, I think part of it, and Mylan, I think I've learned this from you, is that, Lance, you need to realize that nothing is going to be ideal, right? And vacillators are always trying to get it right. Like, okay, if I can just change my partner enough, then I'll have my perfect picture. So, Lance, unfortunately, there's no perfect picture. And the goal in being a recovering vacillator is to be able to tolerate imperfection.
Well, good point.
And so that is the task. Everybody that you meet is going to have a set of issues. You just get to choose which issues you're willing to work with for the rest of your life.
I have one other thing there, which
like
Lance would be to say to your girlfriend, instead of saying, this isn't working, say to your girlfriend, I'm not working right. I get scared when I get close. And I want you to know that. Could we talk about it? And in our book, toward the back, around the comfort circle in the back, the last portion of the book, there's questions we can ask each other, and we can probe a depth of what's going on and how long I've been feeling this way. Because this isn't new for you, Lance. You've been feeling this a long time.
All right, Lance, I've got one question for you when we come back. You're listening to New Life Live, and we're glad that you are.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of 7 books, including Conquer Worry and Anxiety by Dr. Daniel Amen, Healing is a Choice by Steve Arterburn, and Forgiving What You'll Never Forget and Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, both by Dr. Dave Stoop. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and we're talking with Lance, who thinks that he, once again, is pulled out of a relationship, but this time he thinks, man, this could be a great relationship. Lance, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the most obvious question in the world, and then you can really deal with it after we say goodbye. But it seems to me it would be time well spent to be able to answer the question, what are you afraid of? What is the big fear that causes you to use whatever it is, whatever imperfection, whatever lack of meeting expectations? Why do you use those to protect you from whatever you're afraid of? Have you ever thought about that, or have you come up with an answer of something that you're really afraid of here in relationships?
Yeah, there's a lot of fear in general, I think, but I haven't really been able to pinpoint exactly what it is. It seems like in relationships, I just have like this really uncertain feeling, and I get like some anxiety, you know, when I've been disappointed because of my expectations, I'm learning.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, oh, and I just start kind of feeling weird about it, and I can't really place why that is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this one, there was so many good things about it that, you know, it makes it a little bit more difficult, especially when I didn't feel that peace
Yeah. Just before we go, what was Mom like? What was your mother like when you were growing up?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. Like a good mother, but she had a tough childhood herself, and I think it was more strict around the home. She didn't want me to turn out like her family did, and also very kind of not very affectionate because she didn't really know how to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
So very she loved me, but I think maybe how I needed to see it. You know, we didn't really meet each other on that.
Yeah. Well, you know,
maybe
if this major female in your life was not able to give you affection, and it was uncomfortable, the kind of affection she gave, you could talk to a really good counselor about, am I kind of uncomfortable with anything other than what mom gave or actually didn't give?
Yeah, and I actually I did find a counselor through your network that I'm going to be meeting with soon. I guess what's driving me nuts is I feel like I don't know. I don't know what to talk to her, my girlfriend, about, because I feel like maybe I should get back together.
Well, I would,
and the longer
if I were
wait,
you,
the less chance I have to actually,
I would call her and I would say this. I'd say, you know what, I think you're so amazing, and I think I really blew it. In fact, I called a radio show and talked to 3 people about this, and I just want you to know, I want something for us, and it is my problem, but I am working, and I'm going to grow through this, and I hope and pray that there's a future here. I don't think there's a downside to just telling her you're going to go to work.
I would have a conversation with her for sure and let her know where you're at. Not that all of a sudden you want to get back together, but that would she be willing to give you some time to work on yourself because you see it as your problem.
Yeah. And have her read the book How We Love, and especially
well
the chapter about the vacillator, and let her read that and just say, this is what I'm experiencing.
What did you say, Lance? What was your comment there?
She's actually been very supportive, and we've been had good communication. She knows fairly well where I'm at.
Good. Okay.
Good. Well, that's good. And what I would just use this little call we got going here as an excuse, to get back to her and see maybe if she'd be really, really patient. Thank you for calling. I'm going to send you How We Love, and I hope and pray, and the workbook, and hope and pray that that's something. Well, you do have the book, right? You've read the book, so let me.
Well, you can send it for her if she doesn't have it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, and you could have her read it and look at it, and maybe that'll be helpful. All right, really glad you called. I'm also glad that Larry Sonnenberg is in the new studio right now. How you doing, Larry?
Doing good, Steve. So glad everything's working here.
Yeah. I understand when you did the move, when you went to get a drink out of the faucet, the women's restroom flooded. Is that right?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. We've had a lot of interesting things the last week or two.
Well, what do you have for us today?
Okay.
You always bring something good?
Well, our next workshop is Emotional Freedom on the 27th this month, I think. And the last time you and Chris did a workshop together was Finding Freedom, very similar in the process of what you guys will be presenting. But I wanted to read something from that workshop.
Okay.
For me, a guy struggling with social anxiety, general anxiety, and sometimes depression, it was the fellowship part that had the greatest impact. Those 6 guys feel like great friends already. I live in a lonely place and making real connections very hard. Not last Saturday. Those guys cared about what I had to say as much as I cared about what they had to say. I only wish I could sit around in person with the same group going forward. I learned if I applied the things presented, trust myself, trust others, press into a better relationship with the Lord, that my struggles can one day be in the rearview mirror. I learned I need to work through and let go of all the bad from my childhood. Run to the loving arms of my Heavenly Father to help me heal those wounds. Mostly I just feel loved, and I can't thank you enough for that. It's the groups again.
Yeah.
Community.
The speakers do so much. They give good information. They teach. It's all powerful, but it's what happens in those groups. And so I just want to encourage you guys. Here's a guy struggling with anxiety and social anxiety, and his life is different. So 2 things, folks. If you can relate to that and would like to come to a workshop for some help, sign up, give us a call. And if you are willing to support New Life because you see what happens here, maybe you've had something happen to you in a workshop or working with a counselor or looking at getting our resources, please make a gift. It will make a big difference, and it will help a lot of people experience what they don't experience anywhere else. That God's Holy Spirit doesn't work. He gets the honor and the credit We just take credit for getting people started.
Yeah. Well, Larry, I asked a mother earlier what it would be worth, if she found the solution for her child. And I think every person listening, if there's some area that is really causing you to struggle, what would it be worth? Would it be worth a Saturday? Would it be worth whatever you have to come up with to go to be free? And we wouldn't be doing this if we hadn't actually watched people get free from something maybe they've been dealing with for years. So if you want to explore that, man, it could be worth so much to you to get it taken care of. You just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and that's the same number if you want to put someone through. My high school choir director just gave a scholarship for somebody to get help, and he just wanted to see what he could do. Well, he's going to change somebody's life. You could too. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Steve, can I say one other thing?
Sure.
We've been getting credit card numbers for the online Club New Life people that give by credit card. So,
yes.
And we're not going to get everybody, but we're working really hard at it. And because we're not going to get everybody, our monthly income is going to take a little bit of a dip. We're trying to minimize that, praying for zero, but doubtful in practicality. So if you could join Club New Life and make up the difference, that gap, we know right now we're several hundred people short. And if you could be one who would just be willing to join Club New Life and say, I want to help fill that gap, that would be deeply appreciated.
And just so people know, it's a new system we have, and the old system won't allow us just to transfer everybody over into the new system.
Right.
You have to sign up in the new system, and so you can see that it's hard to get in touch with everybody and make sure that happens. Thank you, Larry.
Okay,
appreciate
thanks.
it. Let's go back to the phones, and how about we talk to Bonnie from Allentown, Pennsylvania, WBYN. Bonnie, how are you today?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I'm calling. I have a 28-and-a-half-year-old stepson that moved in with us a little over a month ago, and I love him, but he's driving me nuts. And he's coming between my husband and I, and we never fight. We never fight until now. I'm calling because I'm just kind of overwhelmed. I don't know if I'm being too hard. I don't know if my husband's being too soft. But he's playing us both, and so I just need some advice on how maybe we can maybe move forward, work this out, and live in a loving home, in a loving environment, because I want to love him, but he's frustrating so much.
We'd like that for you, and so we'll try to help you with that right after this. You're listening to New Life Live, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you need some help, we would love to help you.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met, connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Shelly Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is being held online Saturday, February 27th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800. New Life.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and we have one of those situations where the stepchild has stepped into the relationship, and it causes, this is, of course, not the first time this has ever happened.
Correction, he's not a stepchild, he's a stepman.
Yes.
Stepman.
He is a
yes,
stepman.
He's 28 and a half years
well,
old.
and Bonnie, how long have you been married?
12 years.
Okay, 12 years. And
Okay.
second marriage for both of you?
Second marriage, yes.
Okay.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so when you point out a problem to your husband, what's your husband's reaction?
Well, he'll typically agree with me, but then when it comes time to address it, it doesn't get addressed firmly enough. It might be mentioned, but it's. I think he just kind of thinks we're a joke, and it's becoming a problem. So even like before he came here. First of all, the kid is a really, really smart kid. He has an engineering degree, but he's lost 3 jobs already. He lived with his mom for a year. His mom said, "Go to your dad," and he doesn't want to work. We're making him look for jobs every day. But he has a sense of entitlement. He just thinks it's a country club. And
Okay.
So,
all right. So I'm just gonna. We want to get to. This is our last segment, and I want to get to some good insight for you,
Okay,
good
sure.
wisdom. Let's start with you, Mylan. How about what would you do if this was your 28-and-a-half-year-old son?
Well, I think you answered something that's very important. He's never really been on his own. He has an engineering degree, but he's lost 3 jobs. And that kind of instability really needs to be addressed. And he appears to be highly dependent upon mom and dad. Mom gets frustrated. She kicks him out. But, at 28 years old, still be living with mom and dad and not on your own. I would really want to do something that would be more significant, which would be to the 3 of you go into a counseling office and ask the therapist to help this young man figure out, with all 3 of you there, what is preventing him from engaging with adulthood. He's not engaging. I think, personally, we talk about adolescence being a hard stage of life, okay? But adolescence is forced upon us because all the hormones kick in. But adulting is another big passage that is very hard for people to really enter into. But there's no hormones forcing you into it. And so I would say that why is he, because really what he is, he's 28 going on 15 inside. And so why isn't he grown up inside? And then we have to look at the family system and why did his parents break up 15 years ago? You guys have been married 12, let's just say I'm making up a number, and when he was a teenager. And what happened to him? What happened to him in what part of him fell through the cracks when his parents got a divorce? He needs to discuss all that because that's what the issue is. You can't, whip him or I should say crack a whip and tell him to go get a job. He's failing.
Like no matter how smart he is, right? He may have a high IQ, but where's his emotional intelligence? It's stuck back in adolescence. So where the hurt was for him, that's where he's stunted. And so
go ahead, Joe.
So that's Mylan's right. That's what needs to be addressed because to want to still live with mom and dad is very, very, very delayed.
Yeah. And so if I were you,
I don't think
I would
he
be...
actually...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I don't think he actually wants to, but he doesn't have a choice because he'd be on the street.
But here's the thing.
Well,
here's what I would say as the headline here. Go to your husband, tell him you've been talking to us, and that really the plan needs to be him, the 28-year-old, in a counseling situation where he could learn how to keep a job. He could develop, that he would learn and have some insight and develop and grow and mature in counseling, because that's what counseling is for, is that we take these little things here or there and we fix them. And obviously 3 jobs, he can't hold it. He can't be consistent. So he's stuck with you guys, and you're stuck with him.
Well, and I don't agree, Bonnie, that he would be on the streets. Maybe for a short bit, but most, if you're in a situation where you have to survive, you usually do. He just hasn't had to. He's been able to fall back on mom and dad. And, most people his age are finding roommates, finding a place to live, right?
Yeah.
Going out on his own. Maybe he's...
Yeah, he was out on his own.
Okay.
He had 2 apartments.
Okay.
Second one, he just decided he wasn't going to pay the rent, and he was going to try to indulge in get-rich-quick schemes. So he lost everything.
I'm just telling you, he has a responsibility or irresponsibility problem that can be worked out in counseling, and that would be the direction I would be headed. You want to stay here, you have to go to this counseling. We'll pay for the counseling. But that could be the thing that turns everything around, and I hope your husband would be willing to support that.
He would.
Okay, that is
right, because ignoring it will not help him.
I'm going to send you a couple of copies of Take Your Life Back, and I think there's some really good stuff in there about how to be responsive, not reactive, how to help when somebody needs change, and of course, he really does need some maturity and some change. And anybody that has a child or older adult child, one of the greatest gifts you can give them is pay for them to get some counseling. And if you want to find a good one, you can call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I want to read you one of my favorite passages is Romans 12, and it's the first 2 verses, and it says this: "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy." So God's very merciful, and in view of that, offer your body as a living sacrifice. And that's pretty rare for us to say, I don't want to feel good. I want to do what's the right thing versus what feels good. Make it holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. That's what God wants. Don't conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by renewing of the mind, and then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So what we're saying here is this renewing of the mind in the NLT, New Living, it says, by changing the way you think. We want you to change the way you think. Maybe you've had a different perspective than a helpful perspective. Discussion, reading, sometimes a counselor, one of our intensives can change everything. That's what we want for you. But it's never going to come about if you're minimizing, if you're just keeping the peace, if you're just maintaining status quo. We want you to courageously decide it's time to move into a whole other world. We've got emotional freedom. It's the workshop where if it's anxiety, depression, whatever it is, we can help you get unstuck. Emotional freedom. That's on March the 27th. Chris Williams and myself. We would love to have you there. Also, Every Man's Battle, life-changing, and so many men just on the verge of getting that help. Pick up that phone and call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Thank you, Dr. Jill Hubbard. Thank you, Milan Yurkovich. And thanks to all of you who listen, watch, pray, and support this ministry. See you next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.